I mean, even on low, the amount of wind speed coming out is tremendous, much less maximum rating. It functions just like a full-on fan. That's a big plus. They got that part down. Hi everyone, Mike Move here. So I have the EcoFlow Wave and I've been using it for a couple of days now. I'm one of the first people who did an unboxing to show you the EcoFlow Wave and my first thoughts of it, because it is completely unsponsored, so you're just getting completely honest opinion about the unit. Now, I do think it is the best portable AC unit out there. There are a few other competitors. The main one that I would say would be the closest in competition doesn't even match the number of BTUs that this outputs. At 4,000 BTU, this makes it pretty darn close to a regular air conditioning unit. But for that, it is just about as big as a regular air conditioning unit. So keep that in mind. The size of it, and I'll answer some frequently asked questions and what I've been running and how I've been using it. So the size of it, and I have the page open right now for a bunch of frequently asked questions, is 20.39 inches by 12.2 inches by 16.38 inches. And itself, it weighs 38.5 pounds, 38.58 pounds apparently. So this is not something you're going to be casually walking around at 4,000 BTUs. Now, if you get a third-party one, which is, let's say the EcoBreeze Mark II, which is something that I've also done a review on, that thing you can feasibly, kind of walk around. It's got a handle on top. Makes it a lot more portable for casual use. This thing, you're probably going to want to carry a cart, particularly if you're lugging along some battery packs. Now, in case you're wondering, I actually have the EcoFlow Wave running in the background right now in eco mode, and it's running off of this battery pack, which I actually have currently charging via AC because I have been running it doing some testing with the EcoFlow River Pro, and I have an extended battery connected to it as well. I think that if you're not going to get a battery pack but you want to have a little bit more versatility, because the battery pack is about $800, something that might make sense would be to get the EcoFlow River Pro. EcoFlow River Pro, and you can double the capacity by getting the add-on battery that runs over to the side. Now, there are some issues of probably why you won't necessarily want to get that, but that's the way that I have been running it so far. So the cooling performance is actually good enough for small to medium-sized spaces, and according to EcoFlow, they claim 86 square feet is optimal for fast cooling. I do believe that's the case. I'm over here, and this is easily 200 some square feet in this room. I definitely do not feel like it's cooling down the room very fast at all. But I did try a 100 square foot room, and it seemed to do okay as long as the outside temperature didn't hit past 90 something. It felt reasonably comfortable, but keep in mind, some of the background noise that you hear right now is coming from the EcoFlow itself. So it's not really a quiet unit, not by any means. The whole unit might be enclosed in here, but it still has the compressor running. So the best use case scenario in a case like that would be to keep it on the outside and have the intake hose coming to the room. So with that in mind, I wish that they had provided two of these. These are 5-inch intake or exhaust hoses, depending on whichever way that you were using it. So I think the best way to use it is if you have, there's a number of scenarios you can use it in. But let's say you're out camping and it is not going to be wet and rainy outside. You can just keep the whole entire unit outside and just have the intake hose run through. Just attach it to the front of the unit with their adapter and have the cool air blow on you. And I think that's the best case scenario for something like that. But for some of us who are RVers or using it in a vehicle, you're going to probably want to keep the unit inside. In which that's the case, you definitely want to hook up your 5-inch hose and run that exhaust output, because I have definitely noticed that when you don't do that, you're only getting the cool air directly on you, but it is not doing anything for the environment all around you. And that's just kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. The efficiency goes down to practically nothing in a case like that. And it's really only for spot cooling in a case like that. Now, one thing that I really was impressed with is the fact that this could use up to, I believe, 600 watts or 700 watts maximum. But while using it over here in temperate climates of about maybe 82 degrees maximum Fahrenheit, I only needed to use about up to about 500 watts of power, just in general, and that's on max cooling with maximum fan speed. I do like this mode that they have on the EcoFlow, and that's the Eco mode. The Eco mode intelligently optimizes switches between the fan and cooling settings to extend your cool time. I feel like if you are going to be using this out and about on a battery, I feel like Eco mode is the best option to choose from. I didn't notice too much of a problem with the temperature and comfort while using Eco mode. The one thing that I don't like about it is that you are required to use the app to activate EcoFlow mode. Currently, in today's firmware, as of July 9th, you can't actually activate EcoFlow using the control panel on here. You actually have to activate it through the app. While I'm on that topic, one thing I also don't like is the app has limited controls. I can't actually turn the unit on or off. For whatever reason, they decided not to have that. But there is a timer mode, which allows you to run it for a predetermined time. However, the increments are not very useful in some cases. I think they're 30-minute increments. That's about it. I mean, I wish that there were at least 5-minute, 10-minute, 15-minute increments, but no, it's 30-minute increments. Now there is a fan mode, which is actually very useful. I think it maxes out in my testing at about 40 watts, and it's actually a very useful fan. It blows far, it has a lot of volume, and could easily replace a regular fan. So if you want to use it like a regular fan, you could just leave your regular fan at home as long as you have this unit and hooked it up there. Now, there are different cooling modes, cooling mode time periods depending on what kind of battery that you're using. In my testing with the River Pro, I was getting about 1.5 hours. I didn't run it all the way through, but according to their website, they claim that it can run 1.7 hours. I didn't see that to be the case, but then again, I was running it at roughly 97% battery, 99% battery starting out. As we know, the indicators on the screen of EcoFlow aren't necessarily completely 100% accurate. It's probably not advised to do that because you never want to run down one of these batteries all the way down to 0. So in real use, I might just stop it once it hits about the 20% mark because I want to keep my battery life longer and keep my battery health condition longer for a longer period of time. So realistically, with this and the add-on Pro battery pack that is the setup that I'm using, I might look at maybe about 2 hours to 2.25 hours off of my setup. And I think that's a pretty good compromise versus just getting the battery pack, because if you just get the battery pack is only good for the EcoFlow Wave. You cannot use it for anything else. You get the River Pro and the extra battery pack, you might pay just a little bit more, but you get the versatility of everything else, including 200 watt input solar at the same period of time, super fast charging if you have an AC outlet handy nearby so you can top up quickly, or even if you use a generator, it can top that up really, really quickly. I believe 0 to 80% in like an hour. Okay, and if you have the River Pro extended battery, you double those times on everything, including the charging time. Obviously, you get the USB ports as well. You get a somewhat useful light. You got a DC jack outputs out here, including cigarette adapters. Plus, you also have the pure sine wave AC outputs as well. So you're looking at something way more versatile. However, if you're picking it up and carrying it around, you're going to want to use a cart, because this plus that other thing means you have 3 relatively heavy devices to then cart around, and that definitely eats up on your portability. So only get the battery pack if you really, really need that extra portability, and that's the main thing that you need out of this whole unit, is as portable as you can at 4,000 BTU. Now, if you really want portable, well, I'm afraid you're going to have to look at other competitions for that. Now, according to their website, the Delta Mini will give you up to 2 hours. Delta 1000 will give you 2.5 hours. With the Wave add-on battery, you get 3 hours. And with the Delta 1300, you get 3 hours. Delta Max 1600, you get 5 hours. Delta Max 2000, you get 6 hours. And the Delta Pro, you get up to 12 hours. Now that assumes the power consumption is 300 watts per hour of wave, under 26 degrees centigrade with the lowest volume of air. Now, there's a bit of a difference when you maximize when you set the cooling fan to maximum I believe you lose some wattage there, and on top of that, depending on the conditions, you could raise the power consumption quite a bit. Now right now I'm running eco mode, and I am looking at the actual, well actually I can just show you here on the screen. I'm running eco mode right now, and I'm looking at 350 watts of power. That's with the AC compressor running right now. So you do the math and you figure out that the actual consumption or actual time that you get to use out of the battery packs that I just went over is actually less than what is stated on here, because only in very relatively already cool enough temperatures does this actually run at relatively 300 watts of power. Now this can be powered through AC power supply, through the Wave's add-on battery, or if you have Delta Max or Delta Pro with the extra batteries, you can connect it through an XT150 cable. XT150 apparently is not proprietary like I thought. It's just that I haven't seen a whole lot of those. So there's an actual direct interface between the battery pack, well, basically the battery pack and the chips in the EcoFlow battery directly to the air conditioner, which means you don't lose a whole lot of efficiency when you're converting from DC to AC, then back to DC. So you're going to get more run times by doing it that way, and it's going to be a lot more efficient. The AC charging rate apparently is 500 watts if you are using an AC to charge your Wave battery pack. Now if you're using solar charging, it's going to be at 200 watts. Car charging also going to be 200 watts. Here's something very important though. Now whether or not you can use the Wave while it's charging, when connected to AC, it will charge the battery pack if operating power is guaranteed. When using a power station, if power overload occurs, please disconnect the battery pack. When connecting the solar panel or car charging cable, if the input power is not enough to support the operation compressor, only the fan mode can operate. It is recommended to use the above two charging ways when keeping the power off. So you know what that means? That means that if you are charging through a solar panel or a car charging cable and the input power is not enough, and it's not going to be enough, because I very rarely hit under the 300 watt threshold while operating the AC unit in all these conditions, unless of course it's already cold, you're not going to be able to operate the compressor. Basically you're running in fan mode pretty much the whole time, practically the whole time. It might cycle in and off, I don't know, because I don't actually have the Wave battery pack, but basically you're looking at, if you are solar charging at the same time as operating your Wave, you're only going to get the fan, right? At least for a period of time until after you disconnect it, or after, yeah, I just can't imagine it, because you only have 200 watts max input. Another question is, does the Wave need to be drained manually? Actually, you don't if you're in a dry area, because you're not going to have much water. It actually has a way where it takes excess water, sprays it onto an internal compressor to evaporate it, which runs hot while in use without manual drainage. So I have noticed on the side of my Wave unit, there's actually a little fan, a little bit of hot air coming out. I think that's what it's doing right now, because I don't have the drain plug plugged in, and I have that setting. You set up the setting in the app. Now, in high humidity environments, 70% plus, which is a good part of the world, you will find that there will be excess water buildup. There's a protective mechanism which will shut it off if there's too much water, so keep that in mind. Now, it won't be an issue here for me in California, it looks like, with the setting where it automatically sprays some of that water onto the internal compressor. So that's not something I need to worry about, you know, here or in Arizona or in Nevada somewhere, for instance. But, you know, other places, that's going to be the case. I think that's it. That's most of the frequently asked questions. I think people were asking, can you use other battery packs? And, you know, I've tested a few other battery packs, and unfortunately, none of them were successful. None of the Blue Yeti 1 models that I have can handle it. It actually gave an error fault, and I don't know why. I think that's an issue with the actual Blue Yeti units versus the EcoFlows. For whatever reason, it trips an error on the Blue Yeti, and I wasn't able to use it. So this is what I'm going with right now. This will give me a solid 3 hours, maybe more, in eco mode in general conditions. and that's because I have this unit, which is the River Pro, plus the add-on battery pack, which I have down here below. All right, hopefully this is useful information for you guys to know. Please give a like, subscribe for more. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.